You just wrecked.
Are you okay, honey? He needs some milk.
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So it's Friday, it's the weekend, we made it. Congratulations, my goodness, what a crazy week it has been, especially for crypto YouTubers, right? So just a quick update before we get into that. It does seem that most YouTubers are having their channels turned back over. There are a handful that are still having some issues, but I do think that YouTube is manually reviewing each one of these channels, and hopefully by this weekend we should have all of them up and running. But that being said, guys, we are down today, 0.06%. Now, Bitcoin is currently trying to push up again as we speak. You can see right here, we did sort of break above the heart line, but this is like the third time that Bitcoin has tried to make essentially a breakout. Now, we do keep sort of getting, this support down here around the $7,000 level, which is good short term. But don't forget, we do have an apex coming December 31st, New Year's Eve. So we are looking for a massive move for Bitcoin. And if the bulls can't take control of this market, well, then unfortunately, you guys know what happens.
How many Bitcoins does it take to get some goddamn respect in this town?
But that being said, guys, I do want to keep today's video super quick because unfortunately, I do want to kind of touch on this whole censorship thing because it looks like now Google is trying to censor other crypto products as well, which I'm going to talk about. That is just getting ridiculous, out of hand. And I also do, of course, want to talk about Bitcoin price and also one very interesting sort of coincidence on the Bitcoin chart that if it does play out, not saying it will, well, we could be looking for a Bitcoin reversal and maybe finally that continuation to the bull market. But the question is, will it happen? And what's going to happen with the halving, which we obviously do have coming up next May. So if that sounds good to you, you know what to do. Also, if you're not subscribed to the Crypto Zombie channel, we do this every single day. And this week we are giving away 2 Ledger Nano S's in a bundle to one lucky winner. You will get, a Ledger Nano X and S. So if you're interested, just drop a comment and you are eligible. Now, let's have a look at what's going on here on CoinMarketCap. Bitcoin dominance actually pulled back 0.1%. So we have seen some altcoins starting to actually have some gains outperforming Bitcoin, right? Yesterday was Ethereum. Today you could see we actually have Bitcoin Cash, EOS as well, Bitcoin SV. So we do have some altcoins doing well. We have 14% for Digix DAO, Decentraland, Ethereum Classic, Hedge Trade, Chainlink, Bitcoin Cash, MadeSafe, Nash, and Hypercash. Of course, we do have very low volume. It has kind of increased a little bit since the week, since we had the holiday, but having a look, guys, we are still in no man's land. Nothing has changed. We are still above the $7,000 level. We're stuck between sort of that 6.8K right here, which is the red zone, all the way up to 7.4. We are sitting slightly above the VPVR at around 7,196, so that is good short term. Now, we didn't know if we closed the futures gap officially. Well, we do know that Friday, we do tend to get that volatility for the end of the month, right? Don't forget all of these contracts expire. Well, number one, good news is we did close the futures gap. You can see very clearly on the 4-hour. And also, we were expecting that volatility. And I would say that essentially, this sort of fake out pump and then dump down to this level, that might have been the volatility that we were looking for. Could we experience a little bit more? Potentially, but most likely, guys, that was it for the day. You can see right here, we are still inside of this wedge. We had sort of a bear trap. We've had this bull trap. We've tried to break out previously, but once again, like I said, guys, still looking for that big move, maybe by the end of the year. We are once again pushing above the heart line. The level to beat is that $7,376 level. That has been quite significant for a long time for Bitcoin, and ultimately getting above 7,520 on the weekly, I think would be short term very good for Bitcoin. Now, I do want to talk about this potential pattern that we're sort of following again. Now, obviously, we are very well aware of the fact that essentially Bitcoin's been putting in this sort of descending wedge for quite some time, ever since we had this peak, on the end of June, right? Now, if we have a look back here, I just wanted to point out essentially that we had a very similar pattern that sort of started, around December 2nd of 2013. And that lasted all the way until we had this breakout, basically at the very, very end of June in 2015. Now, just to put that into perspective, how long this lasted, okay? This essentially lasted about give or take, depending on where you put this, about 581 days, give or take, right? So I do want to talk about that, and I do want to actually give a shout out to Team Undergrourd for actually sort of putting this out into the public, because it sort of sparked my interest in looking at these sort of giant fractals again, if you want to call it that, right? Now you could see essentially after we had this descending pattern, we did break into this channel, which we bounced around for quite some time. Now, once we eventually broke out of this, keep in mind the top of that channel became the support, and finally, once we fell below it, well, lo and behold, look at that. It became the resistance, right? So you could see the significance of just these very simple trend lines. In fact, this line that extended all the way up to here did sort of play out to be the top, give or take, obviously, the wicks for Bitcoin, right? And right here, when we had the China pump, right, from the President Xi, well, look at where that stomped out. That basically got stomped out at the very, very bottom of this trend. So basically what I'm trying to say right here is there is a possibility that we could see a similarity where, we sort of bounce around in here a little bit more to the end. Maybe we even go until February of next year, right? We may actually see the 6.K level again before having that major, blast off, essentially, putting us into the next sort of phase of the bull run, right? Now, I just wanted to just point that out, guys. Obviously, we have to take this with a grain of salt. The reason that I say this is because you could also say that, and I just want to show you guys, I want to give you both the bullish and the bearish case. I don't want to just be, a bull. You could see that if we sort of take this that happened right here, where Bitcoin has this pump, and then we dump down to here, and then we try to get up, but we still put in a lower high. Well, you could sort of argue that maybe potentially that's what we were doing right here. And I'll show you just kind of quick how that would look basically to be this situation. So if this was sort of to emulate the pump, right, and we were to come down here, well, there is that possibility, that maybe that's what we're doing, that we're just sort of leveling out and we still have another drop to go. But I did want to point that out, and I thought it was very interesting that, if history does sort of repeat itself and we are putting in this sort of descending wedge looking to get back into the next leg, well, that is a possibility. But I know what everybody's saying. Everyone's looking at the halving chart. Everyone's expecting Bitcoin to do this. Smart money's not going to do the same thing again, right? They want your Bitcoin. They want your dollars. They want all of your assets, all of your money. Why would they repeat history again? Well, that's actually a good point. They might not do the same thing again, right? We may have a fake out run up this time and then actually pull back before the halving. But inevitably, we still do have the fundamentals behind it. We still do have a reduction in the, sort of Bitcoin that will be hitting the market. So that's not going to change regardless of, what these guys do. And we did speak about that yesterday. A lot of people concerned about options and futures suppressing the price. Yes, it is going to do that, but long term, it will not ultimately, decrease the value of the underlying asset, which is Bitcoin. And just a friendly reminder, if we just look at the halvings, period 1, 2, and 3, well, you can see the average price has gone from $2.80, $345, and $5,514 subsequently. So I would think that having a look at this, guys, the next one is going to be, very massive, and I would assume it would be much higher than an average of $5,514. But guys, super quick, let's get on out of here because I just want to talk about this whole crypto YouTube purge ban accident on the part of, basically YouTube. Now, we do know that Google owns YouTube, and I just wanted to point out that yesterday, Google suspended Metamask. Now, Metamask is a Web3 client that you could use for Ethereum, right? If you want to put your, Ethereum on that. And essentially what they're saying is that it's in violation of Google's financial services policies. Now, this is another attack potentially on the crypto space. You had the co-lead developer, Dan Finley, basically say, I very much hope that this was an honest mistake on the part of Google's reviewers, but in combination with all the crypto YouTube bans, it definitely puts me at dis-ease about how Google is engaging with decentralized technologies. If people accept this behavior from a mobile monopoly like Google, we may not deserve something better. And, I honestly have to say, maybe shame on us or shame on the few of us that the creators, have not looked to more decentralized platforms. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't YouTubers using them. There are. I did look into them a while ago, but the problem is they just don't have the traction, unfortunately, of centralized platforms like YouTube, right? YouTube is simply where the eyeballs are at. It's where people go. It's the number 2 biggest search engine behind Google in the world, right? If you search, how to change something in my car, right? Where does it take you? YouTube, and you usually watch a video. So there is a problem. We have given these guys a lot of power, and I think it was definitely an eye-opening situation seeing all of these crypto YouTubers, essentially who, for the most part, have not done anything wrong, having their voices silenced, which what turned out to be essentially a mistake. Okay, so this is something that we cannot have going forward. We cannot give this type of power to these platforms. And I do have to say, my fault for not signing up to these platforms sooner. I should be pushing them. So I have been looking into Library. A lot of people have been talking about Library moving forward. But I do want to ask you guys, if I was to move to something decentralized, would you even use it, is my question. Now, I think that I should do it regardless. I am actually considering moving all my stuff over to a few different things. But I'm just curious how many of you out there would actually watch my content if I did move it to a decentralized platform. But that being said, before we get to the end of this video, I do have one bit of good news. I do want to say that it's incredibly important that we do realize how fragile this whole system is. And, these guys essentially making a living off of YouTube, this is how they earn an honest income. Well, that could be basically gone like that tomorrow. And oops, we made a mistake, right? But what if it wasn't a mistake? What if it was intentional? Right? Look how easy that was. So just wanted to point that out moving forward, but I do want to end on one bit of good news, guys. The American Cancer Society now is accepting Bitcoin donations through BitPay. So obviously these aren't direct donations. They are simply converted through the BitPay app, but that is one step closer potentially to adoption, right? And, guys, I know price can get a little bit crazy looking at this every single day, but having a look at the logarithmic chart, I just like to once in a while just zoom out, have a look, and remind ourselves that Bitcoin is doing just fine. We're having a simple correction, right? Obviously, we can't have a 5x pump without having a little bit of a pullback, but ultimately, guys, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. I told you I was going to keep this video super short. It is Friday. I don't want to hold you guys up, and honestly, I think we're all very tired from this crazy week that we had, although I will have a look before we go. Yeah, we're just hanging around the 7.2K level, pretty much like we have been for quite some time. So that being said, guys, that is it for me today. If you are interested in the double ledger pack, drop a comment and I will pick a winner on Monday. And that is essentially it for me today, guys. Enjoy your freaking weekend. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I was very fortunate to not be one of the channels that had a strike, but I got lucky this time, maybe not next time, right, guys? So I freaking love you. You guys rock. Enjoy your weekend. It is Friday. That's it for me. My name's K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto and peace out.